Alright guys, welcome to this YouTube video. This is a CSS crash course which talks more about CSS. So what is CSS? CSS is a tool in web development and mobile app development that is used to design your web page, your app pages, make it to look more beautiful. Every web page or an app page has CSS on it. Unless the thing will just be plain like that, raw, no fun, no design. It won't attract people to the page. So CSS is done in three ways. Like people can code or you as an individual can code your CSS in three ways. The three ways are called your inline CSS, your external CSS, and your internal CSS. Your internal CSS is using things like a style tag, and this style tag has to be in your head, inside your head tag. See what I mean here? When you put your style tag, maybe in my body now, I have a p tag called, let me say, my name is Jonathan. This is what is in my text here. So to style this now, I can just put my p tag inside my styling here. Let me say I want to change the color to blue, or let me say orange, orange red. Okay, orange red. As you can see, it has changed. So this is what they call your internal CSS. So the next thing, your next way or the next approach to this is what they call your external CSS, which is done by linking your HTML page to an external CSS file. This is what I mean here. You will remove this from this and will now call our link tag. So this thing now means you are relating this your page to an external page. So style sheets, as we all know, CSS is a style sheet. So it will call or look for a style sheet. So now to now channel it down, href. In this your href, you will now put the link to that your style sheet. Since you are already inside the folder, you can just put slash beginner CSS. This beginner CSS is a CSS style sheet I created where I'll be showing you guys what I mean. So instead of me doing this thing here, putting my style and start styling it here, this has turned back to its natural default color. I can now put the stylings I want to put in that style sheet, which is beginners.css, as you can see. So I will now put the tag as, as you know, I'm styling a p tag directly. So I will now put that p there. I will now do what I did in the in the internal CSS, sorry. So this will be red. So I've styled this now to red again. So this is what I mean by your external. Then your inline CSS is simply styling what you want to do directly in the tag. It's what you call your inline CSS. This is why you have to put your style attributes. So this is what I mean. Color red, for instance. It has changed to red. So these are the three ways or the three approaches to styling your elements in your web page. So that is all for the introductory part. So the next stage in this video on a CSS is your CSS selectors. Your CSS selectors are divided into three forms, which are your class selectors, your ID selectors, and your element selectors. Your element selectors is what I was just doing here, styling your CSS directly from your elements. That's what they call element selector. But when you are building a full-fledged big website, you will definitely need either a class selector or an ID selector, one of them. So this is what I mean by class and ID. So in this video, we are going to be using your internal CSS, which is using your style tags. So we want to first of all start with your element selector. Your element selector is putting your style directly into here. So I can just say, as I did before, my color is red, font size, say 30 pixels. This is what they call your element selector that is directly using them. Understand? Then I want to now switch to your class selector. Class selector is putting your class here, and let me name this first. So this will still work as P, but when I'm building a full-fledged or bigger website, I will need my class selector first. They are saying first because the class name is first, not class. That's what I mean. So I can have many things here. This can be second, this can be third, this can be fourth. Note it can have any name. I can name this Oka self, and the thing will still work in my CSS class styling. If you now use your p tag and now say color green, sorry, this will affect everything apart from this one here that is first, because I've given my class name this thing. As soon as I remove this styling here, it will change back to green. Since I have not targeted anything here to change back to green, this is what I call your class. This is the usefulness of class when you are styling a bigger web page. This is what I mean. ID is just similar thing. ID is just similar. If I give this an ID name now as second, and I come here, I put ID, color, let me say orange, or let me say it has changed to the blue color because of I named it ID. So this is how your ID elements and your class work. The next thing I'm going to be talking about in this video is your background. How you change this entire background of your web page. As you know, everything here is your body. This entire web page now is body. Everything in your body tag is meant to appear in this web page. So when you want to style or when you want to put a background, what you have to put in mind is that it has to be in your body. You target your body as long as you are putting a background for the entire web page. Your thing has to be, you have to style the body directly. So since I'm styling using my internal CSS, I'll just put here now body. I'll now put background image. Background image, you have to use a URL to channel it well. So I want to put this picture now, blockchain.jpy, as my background image. So what I'll do is I'll simply just put the name blockchain JPEG background image. As you can see, you just pick anywhere on the picture and put it as my background image. But to make sure that my background image is seen and fits perfectly into this, what you will do is to put your background size. Background size here, I'll put it as cover to take up all the page spaces and put it here. As you can see now, this is your background image. As you can see, that picture blockchain.jpg that made it as my background image. So this is all you need to know about putting an image, your background image inside your web page. That is all for your background image. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is putting your spacings outside and inside a tag. For this, we're going to use a div. So here, we're going to create div. So let me say I have an h1 tag here. Let me say flamingo, for instance. Now, I want to illustrate what I mean by margin, paddings, and borders, because this is what they call your box models. So here now, let me just use element selector directly. I have my div. I want my border now to be 5 pixels solid and black. This is it. That's giving me what I want. So here now, let me reduce the size first. So I've reduced the size of this. So now I want to now illustrate what I mean by padding, borders, and the rest. So your margin is used to create spaces outside a container. Your padding is used to create spaces inside a container. This is what I mean. Now I want my padding now to be, let me say, 10 pixels. This will create 10 pixels up, left, bottom, and your right. But if I want it to be different spacings, I'll code this in a clockwise direction. This is what I mean. If I put 20 here, 20 pixel, put 5 pixel, and now put 3 pixel here. What this means is that here is 10 pixel, that is the first thing. Second one, 20 pixel, here to here, 20 pixel. Fifth one, 5 pixel, here to here is 5 pixel. 3 pixel means here to here is 3 pixel. It goes in a clockwise direction. That's what I mean. But for this video, just put 10 pixel, which means that all the spacing here is 10 pixel, 10 pixel, 10 pixel. So now margin. Margin is similar, but the only difference with margin now is that it's outside the div. If I put 10 pixel here, it means that I wanted 10 pixel to be here, 10 pixel to be here, 10 pixel to be here, 10 pixel to be here. That's 10 pixel around this container. If I make it 50, it means I wanted 50 pixel up, 50 pixel left, 50 pixel bottom, 50 pixel right. It goes this way. If I'm to put 10 pixel, 15 pixel, 20 pixel, 30 pixel, which means I wanted 10 pixel here, 15 pixel here, 20 pixel here, and 30 pixel here. This is how margin, paddings, and the rest work. The next thing we're going to be talking about in this video is your CSS topography, which is styles used to change the effects or how all your text formatting looks like, which are things like, let me say, font family, font size, font weight, line height, and text align. I'll just be using few in this video. So now in this place, what we have is our H1. So our H1 now, flamingo now, we can edit it any way you want. So we're gonna be using your font size. I want to use the size of this. Let me use 10 pixel. As you can see, the size I've reduced to 10 pixel, very small and tiny. But if I make it 20 pixel, the size I've reduced to 20 pixel too, very small. are tiny. So I want to have on the font family of, let me say, Arial as my font family. So now font family is like a different kind of text. Arial now, for instance, you can see it has changed to Arial. What this means is that if your web server or your web provider or your web page, whatever you call it, cannot fetch Arial features, it will now use Helvetica. If you can't find Helvetica, it will now use sans serif. But first of all, look for Arial. That is how this works. So this is what it means. Then the next thing is your font width. Your font width increase the text thickness. For instance now, if I use font width 200 now, this will be very, very tiny and slim as you are seeing. If you use 300, 300 will add a little bit thickness but will not be as thick as 400. Like that, it goes on. Put 700, 700 is thicker than 600. If you put 800, 800 is thicker. If you put 900, 900 is thicker. If you put 1000, 1000 is thicker. That's how the thing works. It goes on and goes on and goes on. That's what they call your font width. So the next thing we're going to be talking about in this video is your CSS measurements and units, which are things like your pixels, your REM, your EM. Pixels are like small boxes in the web page. Pixels, as long as it is a measurement, pixels, REM, EM, they work for all measurements. They have other measurements, so, but preferred, me personally, I use your EM and your pixels. But as you can see here, in this my H1, I have 20 pixel. This is the size of 20 pixel. Small, small boxes of 20 gives you this size. If I change this now to 2 pixels, I'm not sure if you're able to even see this text because it's very, very tiny. This is 2 boxes, 1, 2 in this web page gives you these 2 pixels. That is what we mean by pixels. If I make this 30 pixels, it becomes kind of visible a little bit. If I'm increasing, it makes it kind of visible a little bit. But your EM is wider than this, it's like times 2 of this. If I use 50 EM now, I'm not sure it's going to contain this page. I use 50 EM, it's very, very large. As you can see, it's very, very, very large. As you can see, it's extra, extra large. This is how your EM works. So this is 5 EM. See how EM. So preferably me, I use EM because there are some things even on pictures. When I want to make pictures wider and the rest, I use EM. All this width, height, understand? I use my EM. It makes it better and easier to understand and use. Instead of you, there are some things you want to do. If you now use 1200 pixel, it's not still as big as you want. Some images that you want to use, oh, it's not as big as you want. Instead of putting this long text, just put small text and then EM. It will give you whatever you want. So this is it. That is how the thing works like that. Then let's say EM is bigger. Another measurement you have to know about is the one that they call your REM. A layman understanding. It's better you just use your EM and your text because they are easier to understand and easier to use. We're going to be talking about your positioning. Your positioning is in 3 forms. For this video, we're going to be using 3 forms of positioning that is very, very important, which is your relative, your absolute, and your fixed. So we're going to be using 3 texts here. The second text is going to be, let me say, onion. So your absolute is used to move your text or your pictures or an element wherever you want it to be. Understand? So now I'm going to use fixed. Third is fixed. So I want the third now to be not movable, to just be at the top there. So I'll use top, it will come up here. So flamingo, which is your first and is your relative, relative is just like a chessboard. When you are moving something from the chessboard, as long as the thing is not over, the thing will just be moving. It adjusts based on the width and height, whatever you set it, then the thing is going to adjust. But let me use margin here, margin top here. Let me use 10 em. So it has shifted. So the third thing is second, which is your onion. Your second is absolute. This one, as I was saying, it just move about. Can use right 20 pixel. This one is just moving about up and down. If I use padding 50 em, you understand this thing well. As you can see, onion is just moving according to how you move it. But your third mama hen is just here. Scrolling does not affect it because the thing is fixed at the top. Does not affect it. Understand? It's just there. Your flamingo, which is your relative, is moving based on the width, padding, margin you assign to it. You understand more on this when I'm talking about a full-fledged website, when I'm using a full-fledged landing page. You understand what I mean by this. So that is all for your positioning. Then the next thing we're going to be talking about in this video is your display. Your display is used to make your text, your pictures visible and invisible. So I want to make a text hidden. Let it just disappear. Do not take up any space of my page. What I'll do is I'll do this. The second thing, your first here, which is your relative, I want it to be hidden. That it will just like disappear. So I'm going to put here display none. To make that my flamingo here to disappear. Understand? So that is how display none work. It will not be here. It will not take up any space. The thing will just disappear from the page. But it is still there in a way, but it's not just visible on the page. It has disappeared. That is how the thing is. But if I want to make the thing to still be there but not be visible, I will now use visibility hidden. The text is still there but it's not visible, as you can see. Flamingo is still there but it's not visible anymore. Due to the fact that this scroll bar is still down here, tells you that the thing is still visible, but as you can see, it's not showing here. That is what they call another form of display called visibility. So the next thing in this video is your transitions and hover. Transition and hover is very, very important because all these things like your YouTube, most websites use it building whatever they want to build. So let me show you a typical example of what I mean. I have a button tag. What is in the button tag is subscribe. As you can see now. Now I'm going to style this. So now this is the basic subscribe button now, for instance. Now as you can see, it's not giving you those aesthetic features and the rest that make it to be fine. So now I want to now put a hover effect that make it beautiful. Understand? But first of all, I'll put what they call transition. I'll now put your hover effect. Hover effect is like this. Hover effect is are those things that will happen whenever you do like this, go above the div or the container, or in this case is button. Whenever you go above the button, to be anything I put here will take effect. So now I want to change the cursor to pointer. As you can see, it has changed. I see my cursor, my mouse changes to pointer. So now I want to change the background color to whenever I hover above it. So I want the background color to be aqua, but a little bit darker. As you can see, the transition ins out make it easier for me. Let me put it here. As you can see, it makes it easier for me to enter and go out. That is what they call the hover effect. So thank you for watching this my video. I recommend you subscribe to my channel, share to your friends so that we can get more people in this community. Thanks a lot for your time. If you have any question, you can post it as a comment below. I'll do well to respond. Thanks a lot.